Hi, good night. I'm Burke from the Caribbean Ghana Institute for Democracy, CGID, based in New York. I wish to address the Guyanese diaspora in New York and our Guyanese nation at home about the current controversy in the diaspora. CGID is the organization holding the People's Progressive Party government accountable for its racism, racial discrimination, and injustice, and demanding equality in Guyana for Afro Guyanese and other Guyanese who don't support the People's Progressive Party. The Progressive Party C government, PPPC government, is an ethnocracy. It is governed by one ethnic cabal that governs the country using the country's resources for their own supporters. Throughout Guyana's history as an independent country, whenever the People's Progressive Party is in government, they have discriminated against those who don't support them, particularly Afro Guyanese. The People's Progressive Party has demonstrated a dislike and a hatred for Afro Guyanese who don't support them. They have a few Afro Guyanese among their membership of the party, but they're token. They use them as a camouflage for their discrimination against Afro Guyanese. In the 1960s, the People's Progressive Party carried out a campaign to kill, maim, and burn the homes and villages of Afro Guyanese. You all know this as the disturbances or the riots of the 1960s. They left government in 1964, and there was peace and tranquility and good ethnic relations in Guyana until 1992 when the People's Progressive Party will regain power. And they launched a campaign of ethnic cleansing to remove Afro Guyanese from certain areas in the public service or certain positions in the public service and sought to empower their people in the business community. When Barry Jagde became president, he formed death squads that killed over 1,400 young Black men, allegedly because they're criminals. We've been demanding an investigation of that program. The People's Progressive Party should not get away with killing hundreds of Afro Guyanese wantonly. We continue to demand an investigation of these murders, and we will not rest until there's an investigation, an international inquiry with persons not selected by the PPP, but persons selected by the international community. We are heartened indeed that the United Nations at its recent Summit on Human Rights called for that investigation. We reiterate our call for an investigation of those murders. Within recent times, since the PPP government came back into power in 2020, the government has launched a vicious war against Afro Guyanese who don't support them. They've set to destroy Afro Guyanese organizations, the largest ones that speak out about injustice and inequality. And they've attacked people in the diaspora, including myself. They've sent police officers to our homes, armed gunmen. They have intelligence officers following us around in the diaspora, taking photographs and videos of us and our family members. And they have been attacking other organizations in the diaspora too. Every Afro Guyanese talk show host, male, has been arrested because the government uses cybercrime laws to attack people who criticize it and to quell dissent. This is unacceptable and it's undemocratic. Case in point, the government has boycotted IPADG, International Decade for People of African Descent, which is the United Nations umbrella organization of all the other organizations in Guyana. The government has sought to defund, take away over $500 million from this organization. The government has boycotted this organization. The PPP government has boycotted several Black organizations and businesses in Guyana. They have defunded ACTA, the organization that keeps the August 1 emancipation celebration in Guyana. This government deliberately underfunds regions where Afro Guyanese live. This government attacked businesses owned by Afro Guyanese if they support the opposition in Guyana, the political opposition. And this government has denied contracts and grants to Afro-Guyanese organizations. Why Afro-Guyanese contractors can't get billion-dollar contracts? I noticed Critics has a contract for almost $1 billion to build a pump station. And the Procurement Commission has just ruled that he was completely unqualified for that contract. Who is being held accountable? While friends of Bart Jagdeo and the PPP cabal get billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in contracts from taxpayers' money, Afro-Guyanese contractors continue to suffer. Why is that so? And I asked the question, why is the PPP allowed to boycott the Washington Conference, boycott ACTA, boycott IPADG, and advocate for businesses not to be supported? And if you're an individual business person or a contractor and you criticize the PPP government, they boycott you too. Recently, President Ali came to Brooklyn and he visited some stores. No one held him to account, particularly for the atrocities against Afro-Guyanese in the diaspora and in New York in particular. I reemphasize, the Guyana government has military officers or intelligence officers following Guyanese leaders in New York around. They're spying on us. They're committing espionage in the United States, breaking US law. They're committing transnational repression crimes by attacking us, by trying to hire hitmen to kill us. The FBI is investigating those crimes. They have people following us to our homes, coming to our homes, threatening us with guns. Recently, as everyone saw, the government of Guyana sent a police officer from Guyana all across the ocean, into another continent, into North America, into the United States, into New York. That's attempt to serve me with a summons saying that I committed a crime in Guyana. I've not been in Guyana for 25 years. In order for them to get that summons from a magistrate, they lied to the magistrate that I went to Guyana and committed a crime. I've not been in Guyana for 25 years. They broke international law. They broke US law. They violated the US Constitution by sending armed gunmen with the police to my home to threaten me. Very so often, there's police guards at my house because the government has agents threatening me. An officer of the government traveled to New York last summer to try to hire someone to kill me. The FBI and the New York City Police Department are investigating those crimes. And the government has been attacking businesses in New York that support our causes. And Vice President Bart Jagdeo called for those businesses who support us to be boycotted. He did that during the Washington Conference. He went as far as threatening members of Congress who support us and who were to attend the Washington Conference, causing another investigation by the FBI and the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police. So when President Ali came to the diaspora and no one held him to account, and persons who attempted to ask these hard questions were stopped, were shut down, were put down, CGID said in a statement, we will not support anyone that fails to hold the government accountable for these atrocities in the diaspora and at home. It's simple. We have to hold the government accountable. This is the bastion of democracy, or it's supposed to be. This is the bastion of freedom. And so we are free to criticize persons who condone members of the regime here without holding them accountable. Others have called for a boycott of businesses and individuals who support or supported the visit by the president without holding him accountable for crimes they've committed in the diaspora. There's nothing wrong with that. Bart Jagdeo, as I just outlined, has called for businesses to be boycotted who support us, who support our rallies, who support our conventions, who support our conferences. Why is the government upset now that individuals are calling for a boycott of people who support them? You would recall that during the campaign in 2020, Bart Jagdev violated the Racial Hostility Act by calling on people all across the country to chase out President David Granger and his ministers when they come to them. So who's Bart Jagdev? And who's Irfan Ali? And who are members of the PPP that they cannot be challenged the same way? We must never condone ethnic supremacy in Guyana, where members of the PPP ethnocracy believe that they're superior to us and they're above the law and they can do things and we can't. There's equality. And in this country, we believe in equality and we believe in fighting for the rights of Afro-Guyanese and people of African descent who are disadvantaged all across the world. So this is my message for the diaspora. I see people condemning persons who say they will not support those businesses. How can you then believe in equality? How can you believe in freedom of choice? How can you believe in the democratic principles of a free society? The president has a right to visit where he wants. Businesses have a right to entertain him and anybody else that they want. But are you telling me that persons who control their own money have no right to determine where they spend their money? That's supremacy. And that's consistent with PPP governance in Guyana. It's governance by bullyism and governance by ethnic supremacy. We at CGID do not condone that. And we condemn people who are attacking persons who say where they want to send their money. This is a land of freedom. This is the home of the free and the brave. This is America. People have a right to choose what they want to do in this country. My message to the PP government is this. If you want to have freedom and you want to promote unity in the in the Guyanese American community and at home, you have to lead by example. You cannot tell people to boycott us. You cannot tell people who support us financially to not support us, and don't expect the same when you and your supporters have activities and other people decide to invoke their freedom of choice. The PP government must end the division, and they can end the division by ending the war on Afro-Guyanese. They can end this division and end this criticism of them and their supporters by stop attacking Afro-Guyanese leaders, by stop attempting to destroy the lives of Afro-Guyanese, by stop using the Guyana police force against Afro-Guyanese. CGID makes no apologies for its position. We want to hold the government accountable, and we call on all those people in Brooklyn who support the PNP government to hold them accountable, if not for their atrocities in Guyana, hold them accountable for their atrocities in the diaspora here in New York, where they're breaching the espionage laws of the United States by sending intelligence officers to spy on Guyanese leaders, by coming to our homes and attack us, by sending gunmen to our homes to intimidate us, and by attempting to hire hitmen to kill us. This is not fantasy. This is a fact. These are current investigations which are being conducted by the FBI. I want all of the people who support the government in the diaspora to ask them to end those divisive tactics and stop attacking us and stop attacking our supporters. Stop telling people to boycott us when we have activities, and people will respect your choice to come into this community to talk to us. Our belief is, if you are calling for people to chase out politicians, Afro-Guyanese politicians in Guyana, why do you think that you have a right to come into our community without being held accountable? That's our question for you tonight. And Guyanese, as we approach this election period, I want to make sure that our mission is to educate and inform our people. And our collective responsibility is to demand an end to PPP racism, demand an end to PPP bullyism, demand an end to PPP ethnic cleansing, demand an end to PPP apartheid policies, demand an end for the attacks on Afro-Guyanese leaders. And that would be the first step to national reconciliation. Have a good night. Thank you for listening.